Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of the Godzilla Roundtable as we enter into the 70s era. And it's just us again. It's been a while.
It is.
It's been so long since it's been just us. We had 4 episodes straight, I guess.
Wow. Mm-hmm. It's back to the standard trio, I guess.
Yeah. And it's really funny how for 4 of those, out of those 4 episodes, 3 of them crashed. You did not like.
Yeah, the mini trilogy got me good. I was not feeling it as much, unfortunately.
All right. So before we dive in, this will be on Godzilla vs. Hedorah, which is 1971. And Ton, I know you said you wanted to share something about this movie because now that we don't have a guest, we have plenty of time.
Oh yeah. So a bit of kaiju fan history. This is actually a movie I've had some family stories about. So and my family's pretty nerdy in general, but my parents aren't the biggest genre people. They tend to prefer dramas, series, stuff like that, gritty stuff. But my mother used to tell me when she was younger, my grandmother, who passed away sadly back in the 2000s, she really liked Godzilla movies, and she would watch them a lot. And my mom always told me, she's like, this one where Godzilla fought this giant blob monster. My mom thought it was the dumbest thing ever. So I was actually looking into it. It turned out what my grandma watched was Godzilla vs. Hedorah. So that gave me an attachment to this movie.
It's always really funny to see these family stories because, like I mentioned way back in episode 1, I got into Godzilla for my dad. So I guess it just comes up. Yeah. And then we had a few people also in the past few episodes of our guests mention how their family helped them get into Godzilla. So it's something that continues on. Unless you're crushed, then you get forced into it by your friends.
Hey, it's fun.
All right. All right. So that's a good lead into Godzilla vs. Hedorah. So Ton, do you want to have the honors of saying your rating for Godzilla vs. Hedorah?
Yep. After all that, my rating is a solid 7.5 out of 10.
Awesome. All right, Crash. I've been so excited to hear it. What's it gonna be?
A 7 out of 10 as well, but a 7 out of 10 on that higher scale. If that makes sense. More to the right.
Yeah, it does.
Because
that makes sense.
I definitely like a lot of other 7s I've seen. The others are either 7 out of 10s, and it's such a unique movie. I can't wait to talk about it when we do the episode.
And for me, honestly, I've been rating 7 out of 10 a while, but for some reason this viewing, it really clicked with me, and I boosted my rating to an 8 out of 10. It's just a really fun movie, which I guess gets into it. Before we get into the movie itself, I want to say this is the first and only Godzilla movie directed by Yoshimichi Banno, and this would be our final new director for this era of Godzilla. Banno started out as a co-director for Akira Kurosawa, funny enough, before getting into the Godzilla franchise.
Wow.
So what did you guys think of his direction in this movie?
Do you want to go first, Tom?
You can go ahead, Crash.
Okay. I was to say 100% it's very unique. It stands out a lot from all the other Godzilla we've seen. Just in terms, it's the way everything was handled, because it has this it follows a similar Godzilla formula. Monster shows up, Godzilla fights it, but what it does with it makes it stand out so much. There's a lot of trippy imagery. There's animated segments and stuff. And it feels a lot more dreary with its color palette. I'll say it feels kind of artsy in a way. I don't know. It feels like it's trying to do something different, be a lot more unique, stand out more as Godzilla. And that's something, as I've thought about, I feel like I appreciate this movie a lot more for, because initially watching it, I wasn't feeling the hottest on it, but in retrospect, thinking about it, I'm like, it really is a unique Godzilla movie.
It really is. But Tom, before I continue, do you want to say your thoughts on his direction?
Yeah, my thoughts are a lot with Crash, where this Godzilla movies are always experimental and different from each other. But this one is probably by far the most experimental, I feel.
Yeah.
While it still has the familiar kind of flow as you'd expect from the show movies up to this point, this movie just has a lot of different and new things that may kind of come across weird when you first watch it, but then when you kind of think about it, you're like, oh, that's interesting. And I think, I appreciate that.
See, I'd honestly agree. I think Banno probably pushes the Godzilla stuff the most in the Showa era. And the funny kind of thing is, for some behind the scenes info, when this movie was being shot, the producer Tomiyuki Tanaka, who I've mentioned a few times, he got sick, so he went to the hospital. And while he was in the hospital, Shiro Honda came in to oversee the production as a favor. And Honda signed off on all the crazy stuff Banno was doing. Was like, that sounds good. That sounds cool. Yeah. But then when Tomiyuki Tanaka came back and saw the movie, he hated it. Wow. He actually literally banned Banno from making another Godzilla movie. Wow. And that ban lasted until he passed away.
Damn.
Tomiyuki Tanaka hated this movie. And that's really funny to me because I think this movie is so unique and so fresh, especially at this point in time. And what's really ironic to me with that is, like I mentioned when we were watching it, Banno is who would later come in and practically save the franchise later on, because he was who got the legendary Godzilla films rolling.
Really? How? Well,
yeah, basically.
No, if you want to save that for later, but that'll be a long time.
Yeah, I'm going to tell it here because I think it's fitting. Basically, Banno initially, like I told you, like how that's why when the movie ends, it goes like, will there be another one? And basically, Banno wanted to make a sequel to Godzilla vs. Hedorah for a long time, but he wasn't able to. So basically, in the 2000s, after Godzilla Final Wars, which we'll get to way down the line, Banno asked Toho if he could take the Godzilla vs. Hedorah concept and propose it to American studios, which Toho signed off on. And eventually, there's a lot behind the scenes stuff that happened, but basically, what started as a Godzilla vs. Hedorah remake ended up becoming Godzilla 2014 under Legendary, and to the point that Banno is the executive producer of Godzilla 2014 and helped out with Gareth Edwards and stuff.
That's really awesome. It's cool to know that he even had a lot of faith in American studios to do Godzilla, especially after that last time.
98. and then even in King of Monsters, because he sadly passed away in 2017, the movie's dedicated to him and Haru Nakajima, who was the original Godzilla suit actor, as we've been mentioning. So that's just a really neat thing to me, that after he got banned from making Godzilla, he ended up saving Godzilla. Ironic. Which I guess gets into I'll give you guys a multiple choice for once. Would you like to talk about the scenes or the weird stuff first?
The scenes. We'll save the weird stuff.
Okay.
Later.
Yeah. Basically, Godzilla vs. Hedorah's big thing is, I'm pretty sure, because it's not so at all about it, is of course it's talking about pollution, because at this time in the 70s, Japan was undergoing a massive pollution issue from their factories and various other forms of pollution, like smog, etc., etc. And this movie is really basically a warning about pollution, I'd say. And it's not very subtle about it. So I'm curious what you guys think.
I feel like
about
even
how
if
Godzilla
it
versus Hedorah.
as subtle, I think it works because it's clearly a main focus of the plot.
Yeah.
As opposed to being like
shoehorned in Godzilla movies? Never. But yeah, Crash and Ton, what do you guys think of how the movie handled the pollution aspect of its plot?
Alright, I'll go. So, I really liked how Godzilla vs. Hedorah explores its themes. Environmentalism is always kind of a hard topic to cover in fiction because, it's a topic we've been talking about for years and have had.
It can feel preachy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it almost feels like it's talking down to you because you got the. As much as I like the show as a kid, like you got the Captain Planets. Take care of the planets, kids, otherwise it'll be bad. And you're like, ah, sure, whatever. But then you have this where it's like, take care of the planet or giant octopus monster will kill us all. It's like, they each got a point. But I really like how it's very in your face of what it's trying to say, but it communicates it through a very visceral way. Like, kind of, you get a lot of imagery of trash and garbage and factories, and then the animated segments kind of just showing the death of nature.
Yeah.
And you even have like a scene of news clips of the baby covered in toxic sludge.
Yeah.
It's just like, at first it's kind of takes you out for a moment, but then it's like, damn, that's a really striking moment.
Yeah. Crash, what do you think of the pollution scene?
The pollution?
Yeah.
It's very upfront, and yeah, like Ken was saying, this is the effects of pollution. Stop pretty soon. On a giant space sludge monster from space attacking. But yeah, I feel like it's handled for the most part.
Yeah.
I feel because like they're obviously like shit's bad and stuff, but they show the effects really well, and that's something it does really well too. Is like a lot of the effects pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
And it makes a good point. I guess I don't really know how to explain it well. They handle the pollution well enough.
Yeah. See, for me, something with the scene I want to bring up is much the way that Godzilla was the nuclear bomb and nuclear radiation given form. Hedorah herself is pretty much pollution given form.
Think about that, right?
And what that represents. Like,
no, sorry. I was like, well, yeah, like she's based on pollution. Like, yeah, the symbolism of that. No, you're right.
Yeah. And like something like which is really interesting to me is, I don't know, Ton, you probably know, but I'm not sure if Crash would know. Is the frog imagery with Hedorah is very interesting to me, because do you guys remember how initially when pollution was being talked about, the first sign of it was frogs being born with multiple limbs and two heads and stuff?
Oh, I can't.
Basically, Crash, in the 50s, or might have been the 40s or the 60s, within that time frame, the big warning sign of pollution was when they started seeing tadpoles with instead of like 4 legs, like 6 legs or like 8 legs, or like 2-headed frogs and stuff like that, because frogs are very susceptible to pollution in the water because they breathe through their skin.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think it's kind of interesting that Hedorah's first 2 forms are a tadpole and then a frog.
That makes sense.
And I guess that's a good lead-in, talking about Hedorah, who's the main star of the show here, obviously, because her name's in the title. And it's really interesting to me that she's our first female monster since Mothra.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Pretty cool to have. No.
And Crash, I'm curious, did you pick up on what her eyes are meant to look like?
No. They're like...
I'm going to keep it vague, but just think about their shape and her being a woman.
Is she like cat eyes?
No. I will actually lead into that. Another word for cat.
Can I say that?
The P word, Crash.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, yeah, you're right. That makes sense. You're right. I was going to say, Hedorah's eyes are one of the most striking parts of her designs. They kind of gave me Goosebumps vibes, but they look cool. They stand out. They bulge. And, apart from the whole design, which is very green, they stick out.
And the shade of red they are when they shine is so striking.
Yeah. I think Hedorah is probably one of the monsters that stands out to me most from all we've seen. Well, it's
I'd agree.
Brand new to me. I'd never heard of Hedorah before this, but like just her transformations and everything about her is really cool. I like that she has like her transformation stages. The fact that she leaves so much destruction in her wake. A lot of other monsters have as well. We always see that, but like here, I feel like her effects are always a lot more kind of gruesome, very scary.
Yeah.
She just kind of disintegrates anything that touches her. We saw all those people just fucking dead skeletons.
Yeah.
Like, really haunting imagery at the end. Those guys chilling playing like a poker game. There's sludge splashed in. They're just all corpses, dead. It's very scary.
It is. Ton, do you have anything to say about Hedorah before I get into her?
Yeah. Of the show designs, besides like the big names like Rodan, Anguirus, Hedorah, Mothra, Hedorah's probably one of my favorites. Like Crash said, she's like just has a really striking and intimidating design, along with creative powers and unique abilities. Like we discussed when we were watching the movies, she's actually one of the most powerful opponents Godzilla fights.
Oh, definitely.
Like, this is the most beat up you ever see Godzilla get in the movie in the show thus far. That's just really cool, and something Hedorah doesn't get enough credit for, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I love her a lot.
Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, because Godzilla usually punches his way through his problems, but like here, that doesn't work. He tries to punch her, broken hand gets disintegrated. He gets shot in the eye, he's like going blind. She's really like very powerful and like scary to fight. Like Godzilla gets his ass kicked in a lot of this movie, and the humans actually kind of like, shit, we gotta do something too. We gotta help him out. It's pretty exciting to see like monsters like that actually hold such a strong stance against Godzilla. Cool.
And like what I was gonna say with Hedorah is, I think her being difficult to defeat very much ties into pollution and how well this film handles it, in my opinion. Because it doesn't show pollution as some easy thing to fix.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of cooperation, and it's not like a simple thing. It takes Godzilla and the humans teaming up, and they have to invent like that big electricity wall to fry her. And she's not dead instantly because she initially escapes, and then she has eggs, and they have to break her eggs.
And then when they break the eggs, and then Godzilla's like, "I'm making sure you literally never attack again." He just tears into her all these goopy parts.
Yeah. And like the fighting in this movie, which I guess will move us into our other topic, is this movie is generally one of the most horrifying Godzilla movies. Like I was telling you guys, this movie gave me nightmares as a kid. One of my worst nightmares involved fucking Hedorah attacking the Palisades Mall, which is that mall we went to, Todd, when you came. And turning people into skeletons. Because she's just fucking terrifying in this movie.
I know.
And this movie gets really violent and really, it's not even bloody. It's just the violence, like Godzilla missing an eye, his fucking hand being melted. Also, one of the main characters of this movie just fucking dies.
Yeah.
Like Hedorah just kills him.
It's really insane. This movie feels a lot more dreary. And I was talking about the color, which also probably fits well to the pollution stuff. And the skies are a lot darker. It's much more dreary. Everything with Hedorah dies when she goes past it. And like I said, it's not even bloody, not at all, but like it's still super horrifying. Like the effect she has on people. Like Ken's dad. We even talked about the characters here, but little boy's dad gets all fucked up in his face. It's all like great and cracked, messed up. It's really insane.
And he can barely move for the rest of the movie after that happens. Not to mention Ken's uncle, who is his mom's brother. He just fucking tries to like fight Hedorah towards the end, and Hedorah just fucking kills him, like nothing. It is just really strike. Ton, do you have anything to say in regards to this?
Yeah, it's really impressive the effects work in this movie. Like we've seen humans fight kaiju before, but they did just these really interesting scenes, like when the uncle tries to throw torches at Hedorah to set her on fire, I guess, with his buddies, and Hedorah just wipes them all out instantly. And then, like, you have just moments where, like, Hedorah breaks into buildings and kills and you can just very terrifying, almost gory monster. I would love to see Hedorah with like modern effects.
Same.
We could do a lot of horror scenes with her.
And really, Hedorah just stands out. Something else neat to me, like I mentioned, is Hedorah is one of the few monsters to get a beam in the Showa era, because most monsters don't have a beam effect. And Hedorah is the first, since way back with King Ghidorah, to get a beam in the Godzilla franchise. Because she has her eye laser.
Yeah.
Honestly, she's a very versatile kaiju because of all of her forms.
You form a UFO, she just starts fucking flying around. That was cool at the end. She achieved the ability to like go to the stance form.
Yeah.
A UFO type thing, just to fly around.
Yeah. And I guess speaking of the characters, I guess this would be a good time to talk about the character, and I guess I'll go first on this one. The characters, unfortunately, I feel like are probably the weakest part of this movie. I feel like they're very nothing. There's nothing really to them. They're just kind of there to move the plot along. Like, they're not bad. Like, they're not irritating or anything. It's just that you don't really get a sense of any of them. Like, Ken is just a kid who likes Godzilla, which was a little bit weirder. Not even a little bit, a lot weirder within continuity than it did back in All Monsters Attack with Ichiro. Because at least in All Monsters Attack, Ichiro was from our world. This is taking place in Godzilla, and you got fucking Godzilla.
I know
So it's King Ghidorah toys.
It's really funny considering all they've been through. They've been terrorized so many times. And they're just like, hey, what if we made like merchandise of this fucking killer creature?
That's like what happened in Pacific Rim, which drives me and Ton crazy.
But yeah, we can. He's very boring. And one thing I also appreciate All Monsters Attack. The All Monsters Attack. So that the kid actor there was a lot better.
Yeah.
Actor is very dry, especially when he's trying to be emotional. He was like, Dad, like at the beach. I was kind of like, damn, like you feel strong. And like the other ones, they're much more passive. They don't do much. Very boring. One of the weaker parts of the film for sure.
Yeah. Ton, do you have anything to say about the characters before I continue on the characters?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Crash. I think that they just aren't as big of a presence as Godzilla humans usually are.
Yeah.
The family kind of just feels like they're off to the side, and Ken's actor isn't as good as Ichiro's. I do like that they played a role in helping the JSDF come up with a plan. But then again, at the same time, it's the same plan they always use.
Fry them. And this is the first time ever it worked.
And now not Godzilla too.
Yeah.
Not another monster.
Which I just love. I think that's hilarious. That finally, after they tried it in Gojira, in King Kong vs. Godzilla, in Mothra vs. Godzilla, and I think they even try it in Destroy Monsters too. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
It finally works. It took them long enough. It took until 1971. Yeah, I think they tried that in Hedorah.
It's hard to keep track.
Yeah. And it's just really funny that finally works. And in terms of the other characters, there's not even much to say because I feel like Ken gets the most.
Yeah, like there's. I don't mean like I just mean because he's very boring. So like
like his dad is fine. He's pretty neat, I guess. But like his uncle's girlfriend, who else is there? His mom. I feel like they don't really do anything. They're just kind of there. And got high and saw people with fish heads.
Singing about pollution and shit.
Yeah.
Who goes to a club to hear from people sing about pollution? It's hilarious to me.
Which I guess that is a good lead into another scene, I guess. Which some people have read that the movie is kind of critical about how teenagers respond to crisis. Because of the fact that the teenagers' response to Hedorah is, okay, we're all gonna fucking die, let's go party on a mountain.
million.
And I guess I'm curious what you guys think about that. I have my own take, but I'll let you guys go first.
You want to go ahead, Chris?
Yeah, sure. That wasn't even anything I thought about, honestly, until you just mentioned this to me, Mulder.
Yeah.
But I guess you could say that, but I don't feel it's really prevalent in the movie as much.
Yeah, it's not super
'Cause, I mean,
prevalent.
at the
It's just in the background.
yeah, it's just like at the end there. It's very short.
Mhm.
We're fucking seeing the just showing the verse.
I still don't get what that scene means. I don't get it. What is that meant to show? I really don't get it. And I've tried to think about it. I've watched this movie now 3 times in the span of under a year, actually, and I still don't get what does that little bit mean. I don't get it.
Film historical still be talking about years to come. What the fuck do those guys represent?
Yeah, because they're just in the shadows staring creepily, and that's it. They don't even show up again. It's just that
they show
one
up
bit.
again later when I think Hedorah and Godzilla are fighting. They're just watching them again. It's
Oh yeah,
they're still there. Spoilers if you're old to live, I guess. I don't know. But you're wiser. I don't know. But yeah, that element there, I don't know. I don't feel it's proven enough for anything. I mean, at the end they still fight back, but that
yeah.
worse than that.
Ton, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. I guess I can only assume it's probably some kind of message about the state of Japanese youth culture, but that's something a lot of creators in Japan focused on in like film and anime. It's kind of funny to me how like you have this weird scene with the old people, and then you have the scene with those trying to fight, and their efforts are just kind of useless. So it's kind of hard to tell if this movie's like critical of youth, or just kind of exploring how youth would react to a crisis.
Yeah.
And while it'd be tempting to kind of roll your eyes and be like, oh no, the way people react to a giant monster like that. Well, just look at any movie report about Florida.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was gonna bring. I was gonna tie some stuff happening now, even now with climate change. I feel like it's ironic because this is 1971. We're in 2020, and what's that? Like we're hitting 40 years, 50 years of this movie, and I feel like that's still an issue. I feel like, and because Ton's the oldest one here at 24. I'm 21. Crash is 20. We're not some fucking old people like these damn kids. I'm just gonna say, I think our gen has a bad issue with, like, and I don't want to say our gen. I think almost like youth culture in general is kind of a message of who the fuck cares, and like what will happen, and like leaving it. Yeah. And leaving it to other people to fix, like even like with the climate change, like that's why the okay doomer stuff. I feel like people are so quick to just jump to doom and gloom. Like even people are like, oh, if we're still here by 2024, and it's like, come on, and I think that's kind of what the movie's commenting on a bit, because they're like, okay, the world's gonna end because of Hedorah. Let's go fucking party. Let's not even try to fix it. Let's just party and enjoy what's left.
Attitude, just being like, oh well, and not even like kind of making an effort to try.
Yeah. And I think that's what Hedorah is criticizing. And I think that's kind of a valid thing to talk about.
I feel maybe it should have been more prevalent.
Yeah, it definitely is kind of shoved in. But I get why Banno included it. It's definitely something interesting. Which I guess brings us to something else I kind of enjoy with this movie. Is like I was telling you, Crash, I feel like this movie is like the side plot to a typical Godzilla movie that's happening off screen.
Oh yeah.
Because we get a lot of information from news reports in this movie instead of like a more conventional way of characters finding it out. Like some things we do find out from characters, like Ken's dad finding out how Hedorah breeds and stuff. But I feel like a lot of the exposition comes from the news. So it almost feels like off screen there's this typical Godzilla movie happening, and we're seeing the side story of one.
No, I see that very much. Because a lot of it, through the radio stuff, Ken's dad talking about it, with the people, at the club, hearing about it, just kind of, as opposed to, seeing it there in the action. It's nice to get another kind of perspective on that.
Yeah. And I feel like what they really did that best with is showing the death toll. Because I feel like with a lot of Godzilla movies, you don't really get a sense of that. But in this movie, you get news reports saying how many people died and seeing like dead bodies, and it's like, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead. I really liked kind of getting the side perspective, like you get the news reports about Hedorah eating tankers, and before we kind of get like a scene of a quick scene of people on a boat getting eaten, but it kind of has this nice atmosphere to it, especially compared to Marvel. I know some people don't really like it, but I love when you kind of get the kind of ground perspective of fantastical things happening.
Same.
Like in the intro of Batman versus Superman, when you see the ending fight of Man of Steel from the ground perspective as Bruce Wayne's running around. Or like, which Avengers?
Civil War?
Civil War, yeah, where you get the reaction to, what's her name? Wanda messing up with the explosion, getting people killed in the Wakanda embassy.
I think it's good because it brings a lot of sort of feel the weight
it does.
Stuff happening.
And I feel like you even kind of get that later on with Godzilla 2014, that same kind of approach and style, which makes sense because guess it ties all together. Guess who executive produced that and helped Gareth Edwards funnel his vision? Yoshimitsu Banno. It all ties together.
Oh yeah, and Todd, this is also I don't want to interrupt you. But this kind of was talking about this movie does a good job of showing the destruction a lot more than the other ones. I think. Because a lot of the other ones knock down a building, break something, but here you see it on a more personal level. You see the people who are like dead, who were killed by the skeletons running around, the kid running around the music kids and all this stuff. This one does a really good job of showing that.
Yeah. I feel like it's definitely the best one at that, since I'd say, honestly, Gojira, way back when we started.
Yeah. The children. Kind of like that.
Yeah. It doesn't get as dark, but I think it gets more horrific. Like, I feel like Gojira is more disturbing, but Hedorah is more, like, horrifying. Like, really horrifying. And I guess that leads into, there's one minor point I want to make, because I only noticed it this time, and it's so fucking weird to me that it's staying out, and this will lead us into the weirder stuff. But the movie implies Ken and Godzilla have a telepathic connection.
Really?
Remember during the party when Ken says Godzilla's coming, and Ken's uncle's girlfriend asked him how, and he's like, he sent me a message telepathically. I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on?
Actually, no, I do remember that. I didn't think about it. I guess I thought he was just being a kid. Yeah. Like, I believe him. I know he's showing.
But then he does, so it implies that he's telling the truth. And like even earlier on the roller coaster when he sees like Godzilla somehow, and he's like, "Oh no, Hedorah's coming! We need to get out of here."
Because you get the POV from the roller coaster, and then it just stops for like one frame, like zooms in on Godzilla, and it goes back.
It's really weird, but I kind of enjoy the weirdness to this. And I'm curious. I'm a ton because I guess Crash said what he saw with the telepathic Ken. What do you think of Ken being telepathic?
Yeah, it's kind of a subtle thing, but it's also really weird. Like, I guess maybe Banno was kind of going off Ichiro Monsters Attack. Ignoring that, Ichiro's in the real world. It was daydreaming. So, it's kind of a weird element once you notice it. But I don't think it takes away from the movie, but it's
like... And also, I guess it also ties into the fact that he had the dream of Godzilla seeing the pollution and realizing there was some fuckery going on. Which it gives me one of the best Godzilla lines. Godzilla would be really mad if he saw this. And that leads into how fucking weird this movie is, because this movie is weird, but in the best way, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. This is what I was excited for. really damn shit Godzilla.
Yeah. And because Crash, I guess I'll let you discuss which weird aspect would you like to talk about first.
I guess I could talk about the really big one.
Okay, let's go.
Comes
let's do
really
it.
out of nowhere, and just at the end, Hedorah's fucking flying away, and they're like, "Shit, no, she's getting away. What are we gonna do?" And then Godzilla's like, "Don't worry, I've got this." And he starts fucking atomic breathing and fucking lifting himself up. And he just starts fucking flying after Hedorah with his breath. I was dying when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, he can just fucking fly now. And it's funny because when he's doing it, he's just like frozen in his position, just completely static.
Yeah.
He's like shooting the breath out. And he just goes and catches up with him. It's fucking insane. I love it.
I love it so much. I'm so glad that I haven't spoiled to you which movies have the crazy moments.
Because I've seen like a bunch of out of context, but I'm excited to see them.
Yeah.
The movies themselves.
Yeah. And it's just like what I fucking love with that scene, to be honest, is that even the JSDF have this baffled look on their face, and that coupled with the music is hilarious.
It's easily one of the funniest Godzilla.
Yeah. And I'm not sure why it's there. I don't mind. It's just really funny and really dank.
Like it comes out of nowhere. I'm really surprised. Like unsurprisingly, that's the first time he's ever done that. So I was like, he can fly now. There you go.
And just so you know, Crash, that's the only time he flies.
What? No. Why is it? Oh man. One of the other funny parts too. It's really quick. When Godzilla's fighting Hedorah, you get a POV shot of Godzilla punching the shit out of it.
Yes, I love that.
Just POV Godzilla beats the shit out of him. Beats you to death.
The POV shots are amazing.
And I know, Crash, you also found the music really funny. I think that's something neat with the music, because I think the music is a mix of funny, but it's also creepy at times. Like Hedorah's theme to me is genuinely creepy and unsettling.
Okay, Hedorah's theme, I completely agree. There's like kind of those little notes. They make it sound really creepy when something's wrong. But personally, I feel like Godzilla's theme is kind of out of place. It's very goofy. It kind of sounds off key. And it always plays when he shows up. It always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a theme that would play for like like a clown. Not a clown, but a really fat guy walking by. It's like it's got that brass and shit. And it just makes me laugh every time.
It just goes, whoa.
Yeah. It's like,
whoa.
And I'm like,
and I guess that leads to another a weird part of Hedorah in a way is the songs. This is the first time that I see the first and if I remember correctly, the only time that songs play such a big part in a Godzilla movie, because basically it starts off like a James Bond movie, because it starts on the it's not Save the Earth, by the way. I messed it up when I watched it. It's called Give Us the Sun Back.
We started off. I was like, I wonder what this movie is. Just thinking about pollution and everything.
Yeah. But I have to admit though, I fucking love the song though, especially when they play it as an OST, like when Godzilla's ripping the shit out of Hedorah, and it just starts playing it.
Reprise. It's so heroic.
Yeah.
He's just fucking tearing him apart into pieces.
Yeah.
Bit by bit. I love the cheese of it. It's really funny.
So, what do you think of the song, Stone?
So, the first time I watched this, I wasn't too into the song, so I was like, "The hell is this?" But this time around, it kind of grew on me. Like, you consider this was kind of like this is 1971, so there's been a few James Bond movies out by now, and those were really popular. It's kind of cool when you see like studios and creators taking ideas from each other and trying to incorporate in different ways. So giving Godzilla kind of like, well, Godzilla film, I should say, since it's not really about Godzilla, kind of a custom song that plays directly to the movie scenes is interesting. My only complaint would be that it plays too many times in the movie.
I would agree, because they use it a lot.
Yeah. Like, I think at least 3-4 times.
And I think it's 4, at least. Because you have the intro version of it, You have it when they're singing it in the club where Ken's uncle gets high as fuck and sees everyone with a fish head. And then you have it with the Hedorah, and I know it comes up at least one more time besides those three.
Yeah, so like I guess that was probably a limitation of having just one song to license, but it was definitely a little overplayed.
And they even have different versions of it. Like there's I know there's at least one version of it in the movie itself that starts with male vocals, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! I was going to say something, which I guess I'll get into the fish heads. Those fish heads are bizarre. It's really funny, but I don't know exactly why they're there. But it's just I just love that they're there because it's just like he's just there. He's drinking. He looks up, and suddenly everyone has a fish head.
If you took a step back,
Yeah.
I guess it might tie back into the teenage culture thing of him, like, obviously doing LSD, but it's still a really bizarre scene.
I love how he just gets visibly agitated when he sees the fish.
He's not even like scared. He's just like,
it's like it's happened to him before. It's just
And another interesting weird thing, of course, is I think the two main ways the movie tells its story, which I think is like we brought up before, the animation scenes, which I'll start with first. So animation scenes are super cool, and I really love them.
They're really short.
Because it's and they're really neat ways to like move the story along too.
Oh yeah. It was always they kind of came out of nowhere, but they were really cool. Like you go from one scene to like it's like quick 30-second animation. And they were really nice. They had this cool. I don't know what it's called, but it's really cool. Looking aesthetic too, kind of like drawing. Right?
Yeah.
To get that kind of like too. It was really cool.
What did you think of the animations on?
I really liked the animations. Like that was another thing that was kind of weird to me when I first watched it. But this time around, I really like how just thematically they tie into the movie. And honestly, just kaiju and Godzilla as a, I guess, genre. Genre, that's the word.
Yeah.
Just the animation really adds to it, in my opinion. It's a really way to kind of communicate the kind of crazy things that happen in these movies. And I'm honestly surprised it hasn't been done too often in the franchise.
Yeah.
Like, I think only like I guess this doesn't count as spoilers. Like, I don't think there's any more animation in this franchise until the anime Godzilla trilogy.
Yeah, that's it. Unless you want to count like spin-offs of like my favorite, Goji Land. That's not like. I'll show you later, Crash. It's fantastic. But yeah, that's the only thing I could think of besides the anime trilogy later on, much later on. And I guess that's again the other big thing is the montages, which I find really interesting. Like the big one that stands out to me is after Hedorah's attack with her flying form, they show everybody talking and it just becomes like a collage of people talking and screaming all on TV screens. And I just find that imagery really neat and interesting.
Yeah. It really kind of captures that feeling of like a media frenzy after a disaster. And having looked through as many as I have now by now, it really captures that feeling of confusion and kind of fear. It also communicates a lot of interesting things. Like, it's also how Banno kind of communicates how he believed environmentalism should be enacted, like people demanding the factories shut down and make Hedorah weaker, and people encouraging the government encouraging people not to use their cars and stuff like that. It's interesting just how many kind of things you can work into a montage scene like that.
That's also where you get the baby stuck in the sludge.
Yeah. Poor man.
Which is wild.
I know that one. Yeah, those scenes were very unique. They stood out to me.
Mhm.
It was, you're right, it's kind of like getting to see what's going on from the perspective. That would be like something you'd see
Yeah.
on TV.
And I also kind of wonder, though, if Banno's being kind of critical of that style of media reporting, because it eventually gets so drowned out that all you hear is just screaming. You can't even make out what everyone's trying to say. And I kind of wonder if that relates back to his criticism of teenagers in a way, of him criticizing how these things get responded to. Because basically the montage, everyone in it doesn't end up doing anything helpful because they all get drowned out by each other.
Yeah.
So I do kind of wonder about that. And, sorry, go on.
Oh, go ahead.
I know. I was going to give one little fun fact. The suit actor for Hedorah in this movie is Kenpachiro Satsuma, I believe, or Satsumo. And he would later go on to play Godzilla for the 1980s and 1990s movies, which is really neat. And something really funny, though, with the production of this movie is he had appendicitis, and he collapsed while in the Hedorah suit, and they had to operate on him in the Hedorah suit.
Oh my god.
And he found out that he was immune to painkillers during that operation.
Oh no. That sounds terrible.
He's a badass. That man is wild.
Wow.
But you were saying that, Ton?
Oh yeah. The baby in the sludge reminded me of something I wanted to make a note of. This is one Godzilla movie where I just love to get like a behind the scenes story on, because you have two scenes. You have the baby in the sludge, the Hedorah sludge, I would say.
Yeah.
And then you have the scene in the bar where Hedorah tries to eat the crowd, but then retreats because Godzilla shows up.
Yeah.
But when she retreats, you see a cat. Yeah, this poor cat just covered in sludge is like meowing really loud. I'm just like, what did they do to this poor cat before they started the camera? They just like dump it in a tub full of sludge and then just sit on the steps. It's just, these things keep me up at night.
But that scene also was really scary too, with that poor cat. I'm glad that cat is confirmed to be okay in the movie too. They're like, oh, they didn't eat the cat for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh man, this movie is such a ride.
It's like I said, it's definitely one of the most unique, and that's something I 100% appreciate for doing something outside, for doing something with the Godzilla film. We kind of turn it on its head. And I feel like maybe it's like an acquired taste for this movie, because like I said, when I watched it my first time, 2 days ago, I was just kind of like, I wasn't really a fan of it. Just thinking, I was like, maybe if I watched it again some other time, maybe I'd like it more. Maybe because now I kind of know what to expect with it. Maybe more.
Well, I mean, look at Ton, because Ton went from giving it a 5 the first time he saw it to a 7. And I've gone from a 7 to an 8 on it. So I think it definitely grows on you the more and more you watch it.
Yeah.
It's just a really fun movie. Also, I have to say, I also love the bit where Godzilla fucking shoves his hand into Dora's eye and blinds her.
Oh yeah, that was such a cool scene.
Poor Godzilla. Every time he touches her, he just gets disintegrated.
And I kind of like how they do blood in this movie, but not really blood, because when Godzilla shoves his hand into her, all this fucking sludge like spills out of her. Oh, and something I didn't even mention. This is only our second alien monster in the Godzilla franchise, because she's an alien. Yeah.
Once again, aliens causing trouble in Godzilla.
You can't trust aliens.
They're either planet-destroying animals like King Ghidorah and Hedorah, or they're fucking sneaks like the Zillions and Kilax. But I kind of dig the fact that Hedorah feels almost like an animal in this, to a degree, because she seems to just want to breed, because Godzilla finds her eggs in her. And it seems almost like she ended up on the wrong planet, almost, because she came from an asteroid, they said.
Yeah.
which I think is interesting. They're going. Go on, Ton.
Oh yeah, it's like they mention how repeatedly how she's from a planet of darkness and death, so it's like maybe she would have preferred Venus.
Oh, Crash! I will tease something though. We will see a male Hedorah later on in the franchise. Yeah,
visual difference.
There is.
Okay. Well, I hope it's not. Okay.
No.
That'll be cool to see. Because Hedorah is.
Yeah.
I like Hedorah. Probably one of my favorites.
That's really neat. Crash, what are your top 3 favorite Godzilla monsters right now? I'm curious.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
Probably Hedorah. That's Hedorah. Probably Mothra, I'd say. Then Hedorah, I'd say. I feel even though Hedorah has a pretty monotonous color palette, everything she has, everything she does, her different transformations, and just her power, is what makes her stand out to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I like Hedorah a lot too. And we will see her, her species at least twice more.
Yeah, Hedorah's
Yeah, this Hedorah is dead as fuck. Godzilla Annihilator. And also, this is the start of the 70s, which we're entering into the final half of the Showa era. We only have 4 more left. And then we're done with this era, which is wild. Yep, and then we move on to the Heisei era, which is a reboot.
I'm excited for this next one.
Yep. Next up, we've got Godzilla vs. Gigan, which I showed you.
From what I saw of Gigan does now look like he can do anything except fight.
Gigan's basically the I don't know where I am, but I know I must kill meme.
He's not the best hugger.
He got like dubstep. Like that
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait, because our next 4 are, of course, Godzilla vs. Gigan. Then we got Godzilla vs. Megalon, which is okay. I can't wait for that one.
I've heard you talk about it. You don't like that, but
no, I don't. It's super dank. You're gonna enjoy it. I'm not gonna. I don't know if you'll like it, but you'll enjoy it. That's what I'll say. And then, of course, we've got the Mechagodzilla duology that'll close this out, which I know you can't wait for because you love evil versions of the characters.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for
that. All right, I guess I might as well close out our episode on Hedorah because we're getting too fucking efficient when it's just us 3.
Yep.
We just bang things out. All right, so Ton, because this movie has a lot of meaning to you, what are your closing thoughts on Godzilla vs. Hedorah?
My closing thoughts on Godzilla vs. Hedorah. It's definitely a different Godzilla movie, but different doesn't always mean bad. It's really fun. It's engaging. It has a cool ideas that resurface a lot in the franchise, which I won't details.
Yeah,
spoilers.
Crash will see it later on, but stuff does come back ideas-wise.
So, and definitely, I think Banno shouldn't have gotten banned from making Godzilla movies because of it. And for a Godzilla movie that I kind of have a personal connection to, it's just really nice to enjoy.
All right, Crash, what are your closing thoughts on Godzilla vs. Hedorah?
Like I said before, it's super unique. It does something very different with the series so far. And it's one of the most unique ones. I recommend it. Like anybody, I'd say. It has a nice Godzilla formula, like a lot of unique choice stuff you wouldn't expect from Godzilla.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Godzilla vs. Hedorah is one of the most underrated Godzilla films, and I'm really glad to see it get reevaluated, where its weirdness isn't criticized but praised, because I think that's really what adds to it. And I think the reason why Ishiro Honda was so approving of it is that this movie did its own thing, but it's not a message to it. It's not a meaningless movie. It's not like, as much as I love it, Destroy All Monsters, which is just monster stuff for the sake of monster stuff. This movie has something to say, and I think that even though it does it in a bit of a more off-kilter way, I think that's really what makes it stand out. And I think that Banno being the one to save Godzilla, after the franchise went on hiatus for years because Final Wars flopped the box office, after he was banned by Tomoyuki Tanaka, is the best poetic irony possible. And I'm so glad that he got to do that. All right, everyone. This was episode 11 of the Godzilla Roundtable about Godzilla vs. Hedorah. And as always, even though I'm not a raid announcer, have a good night.